What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Well, Bitcoin seems to be about to make a pretty important move that I want you to be aware of. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. Now, guys, don't forget, if you do want to trade Bitcoin on all the way up to 100x leverage, you can use the link to Margex down in the description below. You're going to get up to $10,000 in bonuses and access to a $500,000 cash with Airdrop. And the coolest part is you don't need to KYC, meaning you don't need to give them any of your personal information, and you don't need to use a VPN. You can just sign up, start trading, get you some bonuses up to $10,000, $500,000 cash by Airdrop, all with that link down there. But looking at Bitcoin, of course, what we can see is that things are definitely starting to heat up. Now, you guys know that we have been still tracking this macro descending wedge in which Bitcoin's been in for the last few months. You know, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. And I've told you pretty consistently, I think there will be a point in time in which Bitcoin does break above this thing, but of course, that is not right now. Now, recently, we have been seeing Bitcoin, of course, trying to make a trek off the bottom side of this descending wedge, and we are currently around the middle zone doing pretty decently. And what I'm coming to realize, especially when we zoom into the hour and the 4 hour, is that Bitcoin's trying to make the move back to the top side. Bitcoin's trying to make the move back up to 65 to 68K. And what we see today could help us determine if that is going to happen. Now, the way in which we're going to do that is by paying attention to what's happening with this inverse head and shoulders, in which has been forming for the last about 12 days or so, roughly. What you can see here is that Bitcoin put in a little bit of a swooping low right here, right? We just swooped right down, came right back up to this same level. Now, once that happened, we then set a much lower low all the way back down here before returning back up to roughly the same little level, the same little range. From there, Bitcoin then returned back to that same exact low that we put in back here prior to the dip here. Now, whenever you have a moment like this in which you put in a little swooping low, a lower low, a swooping low back to the original one, it creates a structure like this, which many people call an inverse head and shoulders. Now, the coolest thing that you can do is then take that initial set of resistance in which you created when you put in that first swooping low, and that is then going to be what many call the neckline. Now, the neckline is your breakout zone. This is the level in which once you clear this thing, you should be able to open up a door to really continue upwards towards some of your breakout targets. And what we can see here is that is what started to happen. We came back up to this neckline and we built resistance, and we just shook here for a little bit before boom, breaking to the upside, explosive move upwards. Now, typically speaking, once you're able to clear your neckline, you're going to take the distance from your neckline all the way down to the bottom of the head. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that length, this little white line right here, right? You're going to apply it to the top. Okay, you're going to apply it on top of your neckline. This gives you your breakout target. Historically speaking, you will create an equidistant high than what you saw back here. So, of course, if you put in this length here, you'll put in this length here. That's just normally how this goes based off of historical data. And the coolest part about that is you can see that under the circumstances in which this is the case, this breakout high is really equivalent to the previous high we put in back here. So of course there's confluence. And so overall, that's the setup that we've been paying attention to for this inverse head and shoulders. And it does seem as if it could be in the works of actually happening. Because again, if we do see the breakout of this inverse head and shoulders get confirmed, we will see the move back towards the top side of this channel, exactly as I told you we might. And so now what you need to be paying attention to, because I told you there's something today that you need to watch out for. Well, you need to watch out for what's happening right now, which is called a back test. Currently speaking, Bitcoin is backtesting the neckline, and this is normal. It's not something to worry about, but it definitely can, kind of stifle the breakout. If the backtest, which is basically, okay, this was a resistance zone, we broke above it, now we're coming back down to it to try to establish it as support. If this is successful and we successfully backtest, that looks like the price bouncing off of this zone. And again, it's not an exact line, right? It's just a general range. I would say anywhere between here and 50, I'd give it 57,800, anywhere in here, right? If we can build some support and continue upwards, this was a successful backtest, or what many call an RS flip, a resistance to support flip, and then that puts us in a situation which we can look for a continuation back towards some of those higher levels, which could be towards the mid $60,000 range. But if we do see Bitcoin fail to hold, say above, 57,800 or so, right? If we fail to hold this level, it very, very, very possible that we do see a pullback back towards some of our lower levels, which could look like anywhere from, 55,500 to possibly even lower. And so that's why it's so important to pay very close attention. Will we successfully RS flip here? Will we successfully backtest the resistance that we previously saw on this inverse head and shoulders, establish it as support, and then continue higher? That's what you need to pay attention to today. Literally not much else happened like within this market, like individual charts, total 1, total 2, total 3. None of that really matters as much as this matters, because remember, we are still in Bitcoin season. Bitcoin's very much so still in control of this market. And if we can see Bitcoin successfully hold some support here and continue higher, there's a good chance it pulls the rest of the market up with it. Now, as I mentioned before, there are things happening this week. There's catalyst. There's token 2049 out in Singapore. There's, of course, interest rate information, right? There are all these things. But at the end of the day, this is still going to be implicative of what we can expect from crypto and Bitcoin going forward, and you need to watch it closely. So, of course, as this does develop and as this does move, I will continue to update you. And all I do ask is that you like this video so as many people see it as possible, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. But with that said, of course, I do have a second YouTube channel that is linked down below that we go over more broad market stuff. Not so much technical analysis, but more like fundamental analysis, news, stuff like that. So check that out down there. Check out that affiliate link to Margex, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.